أهلا وسهلا. أنا اسمي ياسمين شريف. أنا من Education Cannot Wait. هلا أنا بتكلم في إنجليزي. First of all, I would like to thank Doha, Qatar, and education above all. His Excellency Fahd Solaiti, who has invited Education Cannot Wait as a strong partner of Education Above All to be part of this. I would like to thank Her Excellency Honorary Shirley Ayorkor Botchwey, who is the Distinguished Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration in Ghana. I would like to thank Her Excellency Ambassador Isabelle Martin, Ambassador of Canada to Qatar, to be here today. And I would like to thank all of you and all the different nationalities from around the globe who are in beautiful Doha for the World Cup. I have been so inspired since I arrived here. It's my first time in Qatar, but now I know it's not going to be my last. So we will discuss, as you saw, this beautiful, who does not get inspired to see the beautiful commitment by Qatar to the Sustainable Development Goals, the beautiful commitment to children who suffer from losing their education in emergencies and crises, children who have fled climate-induced disasters, young people who suffer from brutal military occupation or armed conflicts, who flee as refugees or internally displaced. There are 222 million of them today. From Afghanistan to Palestine to the Horn of Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, refugees from Venezuela, Rohingyas. We must not forget those left furthest behind. Education is the best way to empower because we invest in humanity. I now have to turn to my distinguished guests. And I will ask them a few questions, and then we'll open up for questions from the audience. Let me start with you, Your Excellency, Honorable Shirley Ayorkor Botchwey, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration in Ghana. You have long been a refugee-hosting country, taking care of refugees fleeing from West Africa, and you work closely with local civil society and NGOs to help these refugees. Can you tell us a bit about the great and noble work of the government of Ghana?
Thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity to thank the government of Qatar for bringing to the fore this very important topic on education. I believe that the Shakers Foundation has always had education as one of the key areas of engagement with the world. This is not the first time that Ghana has been involved in such a conversation. And it's extremely important that we look at education for the young people, because they are the future leaders. They are the ones who are going to take over. And as the film was rolling and the various objectives of the SDGs was being shown, it struck me that each one would need the young ones, the young boys and girls, having quality education to be able to take over and achieve the objectives. So for me, this is very important. But like you said, coming back to your question, Ghana has for many, many years, since the struggle for liberation of Africa, we've always been in the forefront of looking out for other countries within Africa. As a result, we have provided homes for refugees during the Liberia crisis, during the Ivorian crisis. Many of them came to Ghana as refugees. Today, as we speak, the people of Burkina Faso is at the top of Ghana. We share a border with Burkina Faso. As we speak, the country is under siege as a result of terrorism. And so there's been a lot of movements of people from Burkina Faso into Ghana as well. Also, another issue that has brought a lot of people recently into Ghana is climate change. Climate change is causing rivers to dry up. And I take the example of the Lake Chad, which is now only 10% of its capacity. Over 10 million people used to dwell around the Lake Chad area and depend on the Lake Chad. Today, that is no more. So there's been movements from Mali, movements from Niger into Ghana. And this is putting a lot of pressure on us. But we believe that we have a responsibility. We believe we have a duty to ensure that we provide some form of accommodation for them. In the times of the Ivorian crisis and the Liberian crisis, we had camps where we provided shelters for the refugees. And as part of the camps, we provided education for the young people. Some of them had been involved in the war or the conflict, and as they were used as child soldiers. Some of them also were just displaced. They had to flee. But it was our duty to ensure that we provided not just for the adults, but also for the children, so that their education is not truncated. Today, the same thing is happening with all these people from the different countries I've mentioned, where the children are coming. Unfortunately, this has happened, the recent one has happened on our blind side. So we're having to use, like we did, whether the UN refugee body or the International Organization on Migration and other local NGOs, we're using them. Unfortunately, in this instance, we see a lot of children on our streets begging. That's most unfortunate. It shouldn't happen. And so government is having to quickly deal with these things so that, unfortunately for us, also, let me just say that language is becoming a barrier because they're coming from French countries. And so it would take a while before they are able to assimilate and then, get back into school and all of that. But we continue to do what is expected of us. We continue to do our bit. It is difficult because we ourselves are quite stretched. Having come out of COVID, and of course the climate issues which have hit us as a country ourselves. So we are struggling to provide for our own. But we believe that we have a responsibility, and which is why we work with NGOs and civil society organizations to provide shelters and also education for these people who, as a result of no fault of theirs, have had to leave their homes and move to a strange land. So we need to make sure that it's a soft landing for them. But like I said, it's not difficult, but we continue to do our best.
Wonderful. I think you deserve an applause for this. Isabelle, despite your own challenges, and still host those who are driven from their homes with even worse abnormal circumstances, and you are there for them with such humanity. And I'm also glad that you mentioned Sheikh Musa, who has done so much by creating education above all. And I was fortunate to attend the celebration of reaching 10 million children in New York. Was it 4 years ago? Yes. And for an individual to move forward like that, when you can do so many other things in life, it shows great humanity, and that's the humanity I feel when I'm here in Doha, in Qatar. Thank you. Isn't it lovely, this one humanity?
Oh, yes.
And don't we
Yes.
feel it now?
Yeah,
Yes,
we do.
We do. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We'll come back. I will move to our next distinguished guest, Her Excellency Ambassador Isabelle Martin, Ambassador of Canada to Qatar. I know education above all, as education cannot wait. And by the way, education above all and education cannot wait. We are very strong partners, and we are committed together to the 22 million children in conflict and crisis. And we have many talks this week, and we had a long discussion in New York. We are very close. We are brother and sister. And Canada is another country that we work very close with from a strategic donor perspective. Canada is a founding member of Education Cannot Wait, and also drove the whole agenda of the Charlevoix Declaration of Girls' Right to Education, which I know that Qatar also is driving very, very progressively. So I would like to turn to Her Excellency the Ambassador and tell us a little bit more about the Charlevoix for girls and the new Together for Learning, because you have a very strong focus on refugees and IDPs, which builds on Her Excellent Minister's great host government hospitality to refugees, and also your, similarly to Ghana, but how you as a strategic donor partner focus on civil society, refugees, and girls' education from a different perspective. Well, you are a host government as well. You've been very good with receiving refugees, but as a strategic donor partner, and what you could advise all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me here at Bida Park. Education, above all, is a great partner. I just got here 6 weeks ago. I'm already very, excited and inspired by all of this. And thank you for your question. Before I answer the question specifically, I just want to, register a few points. And thank you, Yasmine, and Your Excellency. Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I hope you have a really good time here. Like you, Canada believes that access to education for all, particularly girls and those who are at the highest risk of being left behind, is a key to a more peaceful world. And so for that reason, Canada's commitment to education remains unwavering, even though right now, all of our countries as donors are working in a very constrained fiscal environment, and we cannot ignore that. We have to continue working together, and that's one of the ways we have to change. We have to work on partnerships, eliminate the duplication, work together in the countries where we can really make a difference. So as you say, I'm happy to speak more about this commitment. So Canada made girls' education a top priority in 2018 already, so almost 5 years, and will continue, of course. We brought G7 countries and global leaders collectively to commit and to remove barriers for education for girls, adolescent girls, women in crisis as well, and that's what we call the Charlevoix Education Initiative. Charlevoix, by the way, is very, very close to my hometown of Quebec. And one thing we can, help is we also have the French language. So we can, support colleagues in countries where French is the other language, or English. And of course, we're blessed with people from all over the world in Canada, so we have all the languages as well. Building on that commitment from Charlevoix, in 2021, we launched the Together for Learning campaign, focusing on the quality of education for refugees, forcibly displaced, and also host communities, because it is very difficult for some countries to receive everyone wants to do it, and everyone knows that they have to do it, but it's not easy. And so we need to have, the resources together. And just to, I mean, I know that I'm speaking to the converted here, so it's not, but you know, education is much more than just learning. Education is a safe space for kids and youth to get together, to play together, to gain, you know, confidence in their own capacity, and then they can become leaders in their own community, believe in themselves. So this is so much more than just about learning. It's so important. So yeah, basically my my message from, you know, my country in terms as a donor is that we want to play a better role in getting together with organizations. Of course, you know, education above all, and education cannot wait. If I'm not mistaken, because I'm not the expert in the room yet, but I believe that Canada has committed more than $82 million since 2016 to Education Cannot Wait. And of course, we work very closely with Education Above All. So I think we need to not only reduce, but eliminate the barriers so that we can work together and avoid, you know, inefficiencies and duplication. I think that's the key message, and I think with, you know, working with colleagues like here, that's a good way to do this.
Wonderful, wonderful. Besides the fact that you speak better Arabic than I do. كتير كتير. But also that Canada has played an instrumental role in establishing Education Cannot Wait and supporting us. And it must be a great delight for you to see Education Above All and Education Cannot Wait being together into Doha today, and also to know we have already began working together in many areas. And one were the recent, when you remember the bomb that went off in the harbor of Beirut, and we had to rebuild all the schools. And that was a strong joint collaboration between Education Above All, Education Cannot Wait, and UNESCO. And I think Canada, with its very humane policy towards those who suffer the most, refugees displaced, both as a host government but also as a strategic donor, and Her Excellency representing the government of Canada and being such a beautiful person herself, yes, like Your Excellency Minister. I think you deserve an applause too. Now I will turn, and I tend to call him my brother. His Excellency Fahed Solaiti, who heads Education Above All and runs the work and bring all that strong leadership and the day-to-day work and just draw us all into the work of Education Above All. I was just thinking when I sat here, oh, this is how we should be changing the world. The world has changed. You have to inspire. You need beauty, and you need action. And that's where we are committed together to work in action. And I'd like to turn to Fahed, my brother, to ask him a little bit more about your very strong emphasis on partnerships. And you really worked strongly on the partnership with Education Cannot Wait. And also how private sector foundations, like Education Above All, how are you changing the world? I know you are changing the world. You are impressive. As I mentioned, Sheikh Musa, and this was years ago, reached 10 million. That's years ago. So tell us more about the work of private sector foundation like Education Above All. Over to you.
Thank you very much. And I really appreciate it. We are so proud to be partner with Education Cannot Wait. As you mentioned, we just signed in New York 2 months ago huge agreements, and we are really committed for education in emergencies. I would like to start, how we are changing. I think our influence and working together, for example, with Ghana was a big change. So, for example, now Ghana is a big policy changing, in Africa, where they are spending more than 20% to their education system. This is a big achievement. You see, we're still seeing countries, in such still in the Middle East and other space, where there's still 5 to 8% only spending in education. I think the leaders, really, the president of Ghana, have given a strong policy to the world that how they could increase and contribute, to education. I think this was a big challenge for them, especially, where the economics was suffer. They never reduce it. They still keeping, up and top up for education. And that's why he just being appointed as a champion for global partnership for educations. And this is a good example, where we really influence the world to say, you need to be increasing. They will not depend only the ODAs, but they need to depend more on themselves and give examples of how Ghana, Rwanda, and other countries really giving a very varied examples for this. I think the other challenge, and we come over it, is the barriers of girls' education. So we work with them, on the initiative that you just mentioned, 2018, and education above all was part of that, where we have made a commitment for 1 million girls, and we over this commitment for 1.7 million. We're so proud to partner this with the Canadian government to make this changes. I'll be very short. Education is a fundamental right, for education, definitely. That's why we always think about quality of education. I think this classrooms here is representing exactly the quality of education that we want to give, The art piece that had been designed by Zaha Hadid, and she passed away. I just was explaining to Her Excellency when we were on the car why we are doing that. We want to give a very strong quality education for not only poverty, people suffering only from poverty, but really for refugees and IDPs around the world. So we are trying to really working very hard, and you mentioned 10 million. We are now almost 15 million out-of-school children that we are supporting. We are leveraging with our partners around $2.5 billion, since we started. But it's not about only a policy of change, but it's really the way that how we would like to make the change world on the innovative way. So we are thinking about how financing we can think differently, how could we come with the technology now over barriers. We just have the President of Ghana, President of Senegal and Ghana and others talking about the education and emergency with the digitals. And we have the Minister of Canada who was joining us last week too here, talking about the importance, of partnership and togethers. So when we started, it was very difficult for us as a foundation to influence, for example, development banks to work with foundations. They said, only we're working with countries. Sorry, we cannot work with the foundation and private sectors. But by influencing and trying to change policy inside these development banks, the bureaucracy is theirs and how it's so difficult. I think we're breaking all these walls. Now we are really convincing the development banks to put more emphasis on education and health. And that's why here, we're not focusing only on education. We're focusing on health, nutrition, climate, as Her Excellency just mentioned, the ministers. So this is what we are trying to cover. Through education, so we can cover the whole SDGs goals. Thank you very much.
Beautiful, beautiful, Fahad Salati. And we will applaud. First of all, congratulations on the 15 million that Education Above All has reached today, from the 10 million when I first met with Sheikh Musa years ago. Congratulations, you have really, really made that difference. And to learn that Ghana has put aside 20% of its budget, that's a shining star for all to follow. And Canada, always being the leader on, yes, refugee education, but also girls' education. And now Qatar joining. And of course, Ghana. You are here, and I have, since I landed, I just felt one thing. We are all one humanity. There is some magic with this country, and with this conference, and with FIFA, and with Sustainable Development Goals, and that magic is called One Humanity. You feel it the moment you step in. So besides technology, education is also, let's nurture that beautiful humanity. We need it to achieve Sustainable Development Goals. Now, let me see, what time is it? It's 4:45, so I don't have that much time. Therefore, are there any questions from the audience? No. Any questions from the audience? and then we'll have concluding remarks by the participants. Any question that you feel, or have they been so exhaustive and given you everything?
We need to hear, so the session was mainly focusing on having youth, you know, the voice of youth. So we need someone to stand, you know, from the youth, and can raise any questions to both excellencies here. Yes, I can see, yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Aliguma Saurayan. I'm volunteering with Education Above All, and I believe in the cause, and I believe in SDGs. I want to raise this question to His Excellency, Madam Shirley, yes, from Ghana. I believe that Africa, we have been kind of labeled on a number of stages, that we don't follow up on a number of programs that come across our development platforms. So I just want to ask His Excellency, Her Excellency, that what are the challenges you think other African leaders are facing, and what could be the possible solutions for them to come and join on that same platform that Ghana is on now? And do you think, is it possible for them? Then the second question goes to the CEO of Education Above All. You are doing much in bringing partners on Education Above All, because you believe in a better future for everyone. So what are the challenges that we are facing in bringing the partners in your cause, and what do you think could be the solution for you to achieve or overcome those challenges? You have talked about the development bank, that we are breaking walls to see that they open up on different policies. So what are those other challenges? And lastly, this also goes to you. What are the challenges that we are facing with dealing with youths like us? Because youths of today, we're a little bit stubborn. We think we know more, yet you know better than us as much as we are youth. Thank you very much.
Please, Excellency.
Thank you very much. Very important question. President Akufo-Addo, the president of Ghana, when he came into office, he decided that his foremost attention would be on education, because human resource development of our 60% or so of the population who happened to be under 30 was key. You needed to give the youth, the young ones, quality education so that they can contribute to the development of what we call a Ghana beyond aid, a Ghana that is self-sufficient. And you cannot do so. And indeed, this concerns the whole of Africa, because the statistics are the same across the whole of Africa. You have 60% of the population, the 1.3 billion population, under the age of, I believe, 35 or so. So there's a need to pay attention to them. So that was his policy. And I believe that that is why he did what most people had not then thought about, which was to have a relook at what you define as basic education. No longer at age 15, but he made free senior high school education up to 18, end of high school. And then he invested a lot into skills training, into the university, so that at least those who couldn't go further would do the same. So this is how he decided to develop his country. It is only then that you can bring the young ones to the table, when you have empowered them and they have something to say. Now the question is, how do we ensure that it's across the whole of Africa? I think the dividends already are showing, and a lot of leaders in Africa are beginning to see this. And I can tell you on authority that a lot of the leaders have taken up the free senior high school education for their population. And so that's how it starts. Now, the other thing is to ensure that the advocacy for programs such as Education Above All and Education Cannot Wait is made available, and the awareness is created, the education about these programs and the role that civil society and NGOs have to play are brought to the fore, so that everybody knows that there is help somewhere, especially now, having gone through the issues of climate, then COVID, and then, whether we like it or not, the crisis of the Russian-Ukraine war. It's having a toll on governments, and therefore there's a need for us for the advocacy to be out there for people to understand. And so President Akufo-Addo's involvement, I believe, already is setting an example. And not just him, but other heads of state as well are paying a lot of attention to it. And I believe that it's something that will spread throughout, which will be of benefit. And also the fact that no government can do any of these in isolation. We need the partnerships to be able to achieve that level that will lift everybody out of poverty, and, as we say, leave no one behind.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Excellency. I'll be very short. She needs to move today. Today, Ghana's playing, so all of us with Ghana, yeah. I will be very short, and I will start where she ended. She stated that some of the presidents, because some of the country have the willingness, the challenges that we have, some of others have not, accepted to take these challenges, and this is more difficult for us to go to our countries where we want to implement. We are only a tools. We are part of the national plan of the countries. So people need to use us as a tools to support their country for the development. This is the main challenge that we are facing in such countries that don't have this willingness. But we are trying to push and influence. How? Through the youth. So you have the power. You are the next generations, that we're going to depend on, and to take this forward. So I want to try to conclude, because we need to close. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. It's not finished yet. We have to finish with the final remarks. You will escort her out. Okay, I will do the final remarks. Final remarks. In one sentence, and I'll start with Her Excellency Ambassador of Canada. One sentence. What are our takeaways? And then I will move on to the CEO, Fahid Solaiti. One sentence. And then I'll give one sentence. Please, Your Excellency Ambassador, what are the takeaways?
Well, my key takeaway is that I can only be inspired by countries like Ghana, who are faced with, a real difficult situation, but decided to commit resources and lead the way in Africa. So donors like Canada can only, support and follow, and work together with, resources like yours, because we can all make a huge step up to lift the youth out of poverty through the education. So I think this panel was just a real, microcosm of the reality. So that's my takeaway.
Beautiful. Leadership, partnership, and the microsome of the larger good than humanity. Beautiful, Ambassador. Thank you very much. Your takeaway, CEO, Fahad Sulaiti.
My takeaway for this is that when you have a great team working with you and hand to hand, you never been like just a leaders, but if you work, we have one objectives in education above all. That's why we are so success, is to work as a one team, you know. And this is one of our success, you know, why we are doing all these things. I'm so proud of my team, you know, how we are working together and the partnerships together, you know, with the governments, Education Cannot Wait, and other partners. This is the giveaway. This is, we are coming together, you know, to put one objective is to achieve it. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. There's humanity again, partnership, working together, government, private sector foundations. And my last takeaway is Qatar hosting the World Cup. The feelings, the discussions we have here are very different from anything we see day to day in our work. I tell you, it's all about our humanity, and I feel it here in Qatar. That humanity that is here and the humanity out there, and education is the key that unlocks all sustainable development goals, together with education above all, but together with Canada, with Ghana, and with the whole world. Thank you, Qatar. Thank you, everyone.
We need a special thanks to our moderator, yeah? So thank you, Excellency, Ambassador of Canada. She's just been here, you know, 6 weeks now, yeah? With very excited time having her team, you know, together here. But it's really, really, we are so proud to have you here with us today. And thank you, Yasmine. Thank you very much, my sister. You know, we work very, very close. We are really so appreciated, but I'd like to thank our colleagues, our volunteers, our youth today here, you know, who is working night and day with us to make this very successful to scoring for the goal. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Send my love to everyone.